What's going on YouTube? I hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday so far. And in today's video, I wanted to discuss some of the key trades, rumors, and injuries that happened over the weekend, and a handful of things that happened today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So my first key trade of the weekend or acquisition I'd like to talk about is the Nationals signing Nelson Cruz. And I'm just a guy on the internet providing my opinion here on the matter, but Nelson Cruz, I really don't think this would have happened had the National League not picked up the DH. He's actually been extremely good the past few years, surprisingly for his age. Um, these are his stats from last year, and he was significantly better with the Twins than he was with Tampa Bay Rays in a similar sample size. But he's put up stellar numbers just about every year. His average has been as high as 311 recently and as low as 256. Good numbers, and he's bringing all kinds of power. 37 home runs, 41, 16, 32. I assume this was 2020, so he only played in 53 games, and still, if you triple that for a whole 162, he's at 48 dingers. You know, who knows if he would have stayed on that pace or not, but still, it was incredible numbers. And to slot him in the national lineup with Juan Soto, Josh Bell, and now Nelson Cruz, they might have something cooking here. We'll see. We will see. All right, so my next trade I want to talk about is the Yankees acquiring Josh Donaldson. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't really follow most of the American League teams. I don't know much about Gio Urshela, Gary Sanchez, or the two Twins players that the Yankees acquired, but I know a lot about Josh Donaldson, and especially when he was with Atlanta. As an Atlanta Braves fan, Josh Donaldson, aka the bringer of rain, he was looking good at the hot corner, especially for his age. Let's go ahead and take a look at his stats. So here's a look at JD's stats for the past few years, and then at the top here we've got his WAR for last year and his career WAR. So he hit 26 home runs last year, bat 247, the Chris Davis number, and career WAR 44.4. Not bad, not great. He's going to be, I believe, 37 or 36. He's 36 now. He's going into year 37. And they've got him projected at 23 home runs, 63 RBIs. Now, the knock on him is historically he has not been the most reliable player from an injury-free standpoint. 2020 was cut short, but he only played in 28 games with a handful of home runs. Last year he had a respectable year, batting 247 with 26 home runs. My question for the Yankees is they gave up a couple young players in Gio Urshela and Gary Sanchez, and I highly question if JD is going to be as impactful as they need him to be in that lineup, and then if he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy and return more so to his 2019 numbers when he was with Atlanta versus last year, I think that's a good pickup for them for the next year or two. And if I don't know much about the Yankees farm system, but in the event that they've got somebody that he might be blocking, they can always shift him to DH if needed. Again, I'm just a guy on the internet providing my opinion on the matter. By no means am I an expert, and the only team I really follow closely is Atlanta, but I'm willing to at least put out a little bit of consolidated report content for you guys, and then maybe some of the things I say do come into fruition. And our next big acquisition of the weekend, this happened yesterday, I believe, and the Twins acquired Sonny Gray from the Reds. Now, Sonny Gray is a name I really haven't heard of too much lately. I don't know what he's been up to or what kind of numbers he's been putting up, but the MLB Trade Rumors article mentions that Maeda is out for the year because of Tommy John surgery. So they definitely needed to bolster their pitching staff, and I feel like they did that. I feel like Sonny Gray's been around forever. I remember when he came up through the A's and was a hot commodity, and he's only 32 years old. Looks like he's extremely affordable. All right, so here's Sonny Gray's stats. I might find a different website to collect data. I know there's lots of options, ESPN and MLB. What I don't like about, I love the table layout of this one. What I don't like is that the WAR stat, which I do like, only shows last year's and then the WAR for the career. So I can't look up his WAR for 2019, 2020, 2021, and do a little bit of a deeper dive on those. So anyway, he's entering his age 33 season. He's 32 this year. He'll be 33 in November. And his win-loss last year wasn't great, but I don't put a whole lot of value into that just because pitcher could throw 9 innings, give up 1 run, and still be credited with the loss, right? His ERA was a little... With that said, he had a stellar 2019, and he, through the past few years, looks like he's been healthy. He's been throwing a lot of innings, which can be pretty good. He's still a relatively young arm. His strikeouts per 9 are great, especially in 2020, 11.6, which is way above the strikeout per inning. Walk numbers have been fairly good, 3.5 batters over 9 innings, which isn't too bad. So overall, not bad. I don't think it's a terrible acquisition for the Twins. Again, it helps bolster their rotation, which was suffering with injuries, and then if the trade with the Yankees works out, they could be a potent offense. We'll see what happens. So next on my list is Trevor Story. Here's a guy I have liked basically since he came into the league with the Colorado Rockies. And this isn't an official trade yet, but the Twins are showing interest, which after getting rid of Josh Donaldson, I think makes a lot of sense, assuming they have a need for a player at shortstop. Trevor Story offers a lot of upside. His defense in the past is anecdotal, from what I remember anyway. His defense seemed to be pretty good, and then he offers a lot of power, which is rare coming out of shortstop. I suppose he could also be a DH. I'm not sure what their DH situation looks like on their team, but that's also a possibility. I do believe Story, he's a little older than I thought. I didn't realize he was 29 already. He didn't have a particularly great slash line last year. He drove in 24, or hit 24 home runs, which is respectable. And hopefully he gets back to numbers from a couple years ago. I think he can definitely do that. The one issue I see teams going in on Story with is he plays at Coors Field. Is he going to come close to these numbers, at a different home park? The history doesn't really lean too good in that area. I guess Nolan Arenado, the guy can just hit, right? So he's going to put up numbers regardless of where he goes. Not saying Trevor Story can't, but what's going to happen outside of course, who knows? And that's definitely a risk teams looking at him are going to be considering. Go ahead and take a quick look at his numbers the past couple of years. Overall, his WAR last year was 4.2, career WAR of 26.7. Again, he is 29 years old. He's a little older than I thought he was based on how long he's been in the league. His first year, he was 23, which I guess is a little older than what we're kind of used to with some of these players. But past few years, he's been healthy. He's put up fairly good numbers. He had 35 home runs in 2019, which is a great stat, especially with a shortstop. 2018, 37. He was an all-star both those years, finished top 12 in the MVP ballot, actually 3 years in a row here. He does strike out a lot, which that's what you're going to get with a guy like that, kind of swinging for the fences, although even with those strikeouts, he produced 35 home runs, and his average was a respectable 294. So if he's able to come maybe halfway between his 2021 and 2019 year, I think whatever team picks him up is going to be very happy with his performance. Alright, now this is the big one for me. So, Freddie Freeman's still a free agent as of 5:39 p.m. when I'm making this video. And the Braves acquired Matt Olson a little while ago. Why include Freddie Freeman? Well, the Braves were obviously one of the top candidates to sign him. And since Atlanta pursued Matt Olson, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to sign Freeman as well. One can assume Atlanta gave up for the most part in my internet scouring. I'm not too big on Twitter, which I'm sure there's a little bit of information out there on Twitter, but I don't think there's a lot of information out there on what the Atlanta front office is talking about and what Freeman wants. Not to the public anyway. So if Atlanta were able to sign Freddie, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I think having the two of them in the lineup with having Freeman DH or Olson DH, and they share time at first base as well. Both of them are very, very, very proficient at first base defense. I really don't think one is better than the other, um, which is a great problem to have. So we're always going to have a huge bat in the lineup if we are able to find a way to sign Freddie Freeman. Again, I'm not sure what the discrepancy is, what the holdup is, and he's still a free agent. So clearly, other teams that have gone after him haven't been able to land him as well. With that said, who knows what happens? Let's get into a little bit of as to what happened with this Matt Olson trade. So Atlanta gave up Christian Pache, who's our center fielder talent. I'm okay with this move. He had about a year and a half to really prove himself offensively, and it just didn't seem to work out here. We also this one hurts a little bit in my opinion. So we lost catcher Shea Langoliers, who has a lot of promise and is an extremely high-rated prospect. There have been a lot of ties with him and Buster Posey, or similarities anyway. You know, if Shea becomes half the player Posey was, it's probably a success, right? So at some point, we will need to move on from um, Travis Darno. He's been great for our team these past couple years. At some point, we will need a replacement. I think he's signed for 2 more. So Shea is definitely a long-term solution if he produces, but catcher has and still is a defensive first position, and then any offense you get from it is just icing on the cake. Um, I don't know much about right-handers Ryan Cusick and Joey Estes. Those are names I'm not super familiar with. I assume they're decent prospects, considering the A's were getting rid of a more or less superstar um, first baseman in Matt Olson. And let's go ahead and take a look at those stats, because if you haven't, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. First things first, take a look at his WAR. So he is 27 years old. He's been in the majors a few years. His WAR last year was 5.8. And before knowing about this trade, if you're a Braves fan, a Freddie Freeman fan, whatever, and you were asked the question, who do you think had a higher WAR for 2021, knowing Freddie Freeman's numbers from last year, would you say it was Matt Olson or Freddie Freeman? I guarantee about 90% of you, including myself, would have thought Freeman's was higher. And that's not the case. Matt Olson's WAR for last year was 5.8. He actually hit more home runs. He had more RBIs, little less batting average. So maybe he's not as good as a pure hitter. Also, with the shift potentially going away, who knows how that's going to affect him. Freeman is very, very, very good about going opposite field, which I love. But anyway, I don't think Matt Olson is a bad replacement should we end up not being able to sign Freddie. He's been in the league 6 years and has put up really, really good numbers. So I am optimistic. Just for comparison's sake, Freeman's WAR was down compared to Olson's last year, 4.7. He had less home runs, higher batting average, as I mentioned. I think he walked a ton. He probably had more walks as well. But overall, relatively similar stats. I don't think we're giving up much from performance. Olson probably hits a few more dingers for us, which is great. So we will see what happens. Last on my list, and this is not a trade, but just something I want to talk about, if for whatever reason you don't know or haven't followed baseball today, it has been announced that Fernando Tatis is out to up to 3 months with his fractured wrist. This just kind of makes me sad. He's such a good player when he's been able to play. He's put up ridiculous numbers. He's so fun to watch. Same with Vladdy Jr., Acuna, Juan Soto, those guys. This whole group of players less than 25 years old has just really reinvigorated the sport, in my opinion. These guys just love, or at least from a spectator perspective, seems like they just love having fun playing the game. And the Padres are one of those teams, I feel like they are so close to figuring it out, getting their offense squared away, their pitching squared away, and really competing in that brutal division that somehow the Giants won last year. But anyway, I think the Padres are really, really close, and this just might be another major setback. Not having Tatis in the lineup for 3 to 4 months of the season, and who knows what he's going to be like when he comes back. Wrist injuries can definitely affect performance, and hopefully it doesn't sap a lot of his power, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I want to do something a little different today and go over, since there's so much happening in the baseball world already this weekend and going into this week before we get started for the regular season. I just wanted to kind of compile the key points that I thought anyway that were key acquisitions over the weekend and put them in a video for y'all. So please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And my question for the day is, who do you think is going to have a breakout or exciting 2022 season? My pick is actually Bo Bichette. So we'll see what happens, and I think the Blue Jays could be a very, very, very good team this year. And he put up great numbers last year as well, and I think he's going to continue to have fun playing the game and have a stellar year this year. So he's my pick for kind of a breakout or most excited player. I know a lot of you probably choose Juan Soto, but if you don't mind, comment and let's start a conversation in the chat. So without further ado, I will end today's video and see you guys next time.